Linebacker day. We're going to talk to your coach. Tell us how the linebackers are looking, Coach.
We've had one practice in pads, so it's hard to evaluate.
What did you see from them today?
I really don't care what they look like without pads on. So, and we aren't in full pads, so we've had 2 hours and 20 minutes of linebacker evaluation, which is not enough. It's that's just where it is. We got talented guys. We got some young guys that are going to get in the mix, but to evaluate linebackers, you need to evaluate their physicality, and you can't do that unless you're in full pads or in shoulder pads, which today was the first time. So it's kind of hard for me to give you any kind of review on those guys right now. Except we're happy they're here. I like their athleticism. We've got a good mix of guys who played a little bit last year. Some young guys that come in here and move around real well. But until we start really hitting and tackling people, that's when you get an evaluation on those guys.
Over the course of the off-season through the spring and things like that, to see anything from, say, a play like Donnie Bags that would give you an encouragement?
Sure, but until we tackle anybody, I'm not going to give you. How do I know what the difference is right now? Until we start actually playing the game of football, that's what linebackers do. We don't play 7-on-7. We play football, and so to evaluate them, you better hit and tackle. And 2 hours and 20 minutes, we got a lot of guys that look good. But until we start hitting and tackling people, then we can get an evaluation.
When you have such a group of young receivers, how valuable is Malcolm Kennedy's experience?
Extremely. Here's a guy who has played in big games, and really, with the exception of looking at the stats, with the exception of Quiv, it's probably was the only guy that's caught meaningful balls. Last year in big games. Ricky got hurt after the touchdown, and he was hobbling. So really, he's the only guy, and Quiv a little bit, but a guy that we leaned on and have leaned on for the last couple of years, and he's just been a steady Eddie kind of guy. His weight's good. He's 200 pounds. He's strong. He knows the offense, and he brings a leadership attitude and experience that that we need with some of those younger talented guys, he's one of the leaders on this, not just at that position, but on this whole team.
Is that a plus for your 4 young quarterbacks as well?
Yeah, all those guys. You've heard me say before, it's whoever we're going to play is going to be young, but we've got guys around them that can play, and that goes with our running backs, our offensive line, Cam Clear, all those guys that play. So, for a young guy to have those type of talented people around him with experience, it's got to make them feel a little bit better about life. I don't know, they're still going to be nervous, but it gives us some other stuff too to be able to get those guys and help the quarterbacks be comfortable, and us as coaches, gives you a little bit more to deal with from a play design standpoint when you got guys like that in their experience.
You've overseen 2 of these preseason quarterback battles as head coach. What have you learned from the last 2 experiences that helps you now?
Oh, you just, you don't make a decision based on one practice. You make a decision based on overtime. You don't make it just based on numbers. There's a lot of things that go into it, and it helps that most practices are closed, so I don't have to get everybody's opinion. So that's part of it. But the open scrimmages, I guess, I don't know if we're going to have any. We got any?
No, sir.
Oh, shoot. That's too bad.
Besides that.
I don't know.
Who's in charge of that?
Huh? I don't know. I just found out right there. How's that?
So how about our opinion on the first 10 or 15 minutes then in terms of?
I don't care.
So, Coach, at this point, when you
Being
don't,
honest,
at this point, when you don't have full pads and you're going, what are you hoping to walk away with evaluation-wise on these day-to-day practices?
I think that what we've been able to evaluate over the last couple of days, we've really been able to get our installation in. 3 days of installation. We're ahead. Sorry about that. Ahead of the curve because of the meetings. I think our ability to be able to run as many plays as we have and be diverse offensively and defensively are a reflection on the meetings this summer and how we spent our time so far in the tempo that we practice. Today was really the first time that we really had some inside, what we call inside drill and half line with our offensive line, D-line, linebackers not tackling to the ground obviously, but the ability to play blocks and be physical and do some things. So it's a progression, and we're getting a bunch of these guys turns. I think today was a first real taste of how things can be. There were some wide eyes out there. There's some it's really the first time guys came off the ball and hit each other. So the response tomorrow will be interesting by some guys. Can they follow it back up? And that's the difference at this level. We were out there today, 2 hours and 25 minutes. We were about 150 for the first 2 days, and the day was, the first real stress. I just told them after practice it was hot for the first time. They had shoulder pads on for the first time, and it's the first time we really stressed them for some time, and that is where the physical and the mental toughness part of the game comes.
What was it you saw in Mike Matthews' makeup?
He's a good player. He was a great player in high school. He lived about 1.5 miles from me in Fort Bend County. So he was a guy that actually went to the high school right by where I lived. So, I'd seen him a bunch, and he got here, and it's another typical decision that we made. We were better off playing him as a freshman instead of redshirting him. I know people didn't agree with that because he was 265, but his ability to travel, his ability to because you go to scout team, you don't learn our offense. You're South Carolina that week, you're Lamar the next week, that goes on the whole year. His ability to travel, to back up, Pat, and then play in those games, prepare every week like you're going to play, go on the road, actually see how that works, and I think put him ahead of the curve last year to be able to start every game. And so, there was a method to that, and I think he benefited by that. His body type, he's only going to be so big. He's not a 6'6" guy who's a lean guy. He's a shorter guy, and he's only going to get so big, but he can get stronger, and he's done that. But I think his playing as a freshman and traveling really helped him last year get the experience to be able to start every game, and now he's one of those guys you don't worry about.
Couple more.
When you look at Trey Williams, do you see that sense of urgency going into his
I see that from all three running backs. I think all three of them have time's coming to an end. They got a couple years here. So you got two of them that left programs, came here. You got Trey, who's been here since the beginning, caught the opening kickoff. Struggled last year with a little bit of Trey had an ankle early in the year that's probably worse than anybody knew. The year before that, he struggled in pass protection. So, these guys are, it's interesting. The closer you get to the end, the more serious you get about things, and that sense of urgency picks itself up. Sometimes it's maturity, and sometimes it's just that you don't have a lot of time left. So those guys are battling. I've been pleased with how they've worked, along with James White. James White has really, really improved.